Hard sports all plays. Yeah. Hard sports all plays. Hard sports all plays. 365, we making the plays. You talking the game, get you through the days. Great high in the court, the dime in the lane. Variety, copies, living the same. All presentation, sports information. In the airways, taking the nation. All sport, all plays, they work in your faces. Grace up the field, so tie the laces. Hard sports all plays. Network. Hard sports all plays. Network. We on top of our game. Hard sports all plays. Hard sports all plays.
Suzanne's Paparazzi Jewelry, 24/7 shopping available. 160920 is the code. Show her some love, like she showed us, from all of us here at the ASAP Network.
How's everybody doing? My name is Christopher Brown, and you're now watching ASAP Network Real Talk. And I got the crew with me today. Why don't you guys introduce yourselves? How y'all doing tonight?
What's going on, man? I'm doing good. Always ready to talk some sports. So much happened in free agency, man. Seems like we've been saying that a lot lately. But again, I'm Jay, and I'm ready to get it in.
What's up, everybody? Kenny Moore. Always good to be on with my guys. Ready to talk some football and some hoops.
Yes, sir. Yes. Before we get started, I'm about to call somebody out, and y'all can add them in the comments if you want. Freddie, I just got to make this public because you made it public on the page. You keep talking about I'm a bandwagon, but as a sports journalist, I'm supposed to cover every single team. So when I said something about the Colts all the way back in January, like I said on Real Talk all the way, back in September, that they will run the division, I've been talking about this team for a long time. So just because my ex-quarterback got traded there doesn't mean now I'm about to jump and be in bandwagon like you. A guy that said I root for he said he started beginning of the season. Y'all remember on Real Talk, said he was a Giants fan, but he roots for Aaron Rodgers. Then somehow, started moving to, we this when it comes to the Packers. We this when it comes to the Packers.
It wasn't somehow. The Giants finished towards
the Giants. No, but this is mid-season though, Freddie. This is mid-season. He said, "Now I'm done with Daniel Jones," so he got rid of him. But then the Giants started winning a couple games. They had a chance to make their playoffs, and he said, "Oh, I'm a Giants fan now." Then they lose, and now he's playing
hopscotch.
Then he's mad at my Eagles because my Eagles don't, do this and do that. And I was complaining. Listen here, Freddie, you're the only bandwagon on the network. Okay, you try to make it seem like everybody else is a bandwagon. You're the only one that says I root for two different teams. Admit it, own to it, and stop running. And nobody's scared of you because here on Real Talk, we beat you. We used to beat you every day. Me and Jay beat you in real debates. So trust me, Freddie.
On record.
On record. Nobody's scared of you. Nobody running from you. You're the only guy that's never going to win a debate, and you're the only bandwagon. So once you accept that, I think you'll feel better about yourself. Also, I just want to make this known. Justin Fields just ran a 4.41. It wasn't even his full pro day.
Wow.
4.41 from Justin Fields. This is a guy that I really, and this is not even on topic, but it just came up, in my notifications that he ran a 4.41.
You can't pass him up, man. The intangibles are there.
I think he's going to be a very good quarterback. I still think Trevor Lawrence. This is just off the top. I really think they're probably going to take Trevor Lawrence. But at number 2,
yeah, you got to.
I think the Jets are debating what to do, but I don't think he falls out of the top 5 because, and we're gonna talk about it after this. Everybody likes speed. If they see a quarterback running a 4.41 and at that position, and then know they can throw the ball, and he has another chance to run it, at his pro day, let him run under a 4.4. If he falls past 2 or 3, a team is going to trade up to that top 6. Because the Eagles are not taking. Well, I don't know what they're going to do. So let me not speak on the Eagles, but the Bengals are not taking a quarterback. I think it would be not smart for the Falcons to take a quarterback. That's my opinion because I think Matt Ryan still has some good years left in them, and the defense is the reason why they lose. So I'm seeing a team trade up to get him. Like Kenny, do you think a team is going to trade up to get a Justin Fields if he fall past 4?
I definitely do, especially. A team like the Chicago Bears, you can't say they're just sold on going into the season with Andy Dalton as your quarterback. So I could definitely see the Chicago Bears as one of the teams that would jump up to get him because that's a team that's been looking for a franchise quarterback for a long time. Probably Jay Cutler may be the closest thing they've had to a franchise quarterback in all these years.
I think
so. I could definitely see them jumping up for sure. Exactly, and that says a lot.
I just said that on Wednesday. I was talking to somebody. I'm like, listen, man, it's sad that we think your franchise's best quarterback in the last 20, 30, 40 years, Jay Cutler, is the first name that pops up. And it's only sad because he had the talent, but didn't care to be out there. Wasn't a leader. And so when you think of your franchise guys, and mind you, this is 10, 15 years ago, 10 years ago, we're thinking Jay Cutler was your best quarterback since then. It's a bad franchise. So, I see them definitely moving up. Jay, real quick, do you think the team's going to trade up for Justin Fields?
I don't think he gets past that second position, honestly. That second spot is going to be so crucial this year. So, yeah, my answer is yeah. I think teams have to trade up and get him. Like I said, although this is a very deep, to me, top-sided draft for quarterback, because we got 4 hitters. It's been a long time since we had 4 legit hitters. But I think you definitely trade up to get him.
Yeah.
And as far as the Atlanta thing, if he's there, I'm drafting him. Period.
I'm not mad at that. I'm not mad at it. I just want to do it.
I'll be surprised.
Yeah, I want to do it, but I'm not mad at them if they do it.
Well, let's be honest, guys. We all need a very solid, backup quarterback. Why not have one that could possibly be a franchise quarterback?
Yeah, but you're not picking a guy that high. He would be the transition guy to take over for Matt Ryan.
All right.
But what if Matt Ryan isn't bad enough? What if he's still? I think he can still ball out for years and years to years. So I don't know if I would force myself to move on. Because if you draft him back, if you draft him at 4, that's a force.
You got 5 years.
It's a long time to sit in.
Yeah, but how many years of those is he going to be a starter? Because assuming, let's say Matt Ryan's like 34, 35, maybe
2 years.
He still got a game left.
2 years out of the 5, you wouldn't draft him to start him for the last 2 years of his contract.
I'm not mad at it, but what I'm saying is I feel like you can draft something else and go back and
they
be
got
competitive.
Other holes, I think.
Okay, that was my next question. What position could they draft to say okay that'll put them in playoff, that'll put them in Super Bowl contention?
They need anything they need to help draft is corner or you get in Sewell.
But they're not Super Bowl contention. We agree on that.
Not right now, not today.
Away for sure.
But that's why it's defensive pieces, not offense, in my opinion.
And that's why I say, honestly, I mean, they're Matt Ryan's is getting up there on the payroll. He's already up there, and he has to go back up to a renewal soon. I wouldn't be mad at them if they drafted and stashed for a year or two.
I wouldn't be mad either. I'm just like me personally. I don't know if I do it because I got so many holes on the opposite side and knows the reason why I'm losing. But if they do it, I understand because the transition is going to be nice going from Matt Ryan that's been doing this thing for a long time to a guy who's from that Georgia area, a guy that has game, and him and Calvin Ridley can kind of move up like Matt Ryan and Julio Jones moved up. So I'm not mad at it.
You can still train Matt Ryan in the rebuild. Wouldn't be necessarily such a rebuild.
It would be a smoother.
You got those other two. You got Gurley and you got Julio Jones, who are
win now.
They're in age. Yeah, they want to win now.
I agree.
With them and Matt Ryan, so it's a tough call. It's not an easy call.
Just that organization is not as close as I think they are.
Yeah, as of March 18th. I will agree with you on that. It's a lot of things are early for certain franchises, but as of March 18th, I think they're not that close because literally I question almost everything on the defense. No pass rush, not the best secondary, questionable linebackers. They need upgrades for me at everything at the defense. I like the young corner they drafted last year. Draft 2 young corners. You need something. I personally, Kenny, I don't know about you. I don't think they holes on offensive end unless it's offensive line.
Yeah, that's what I agree with you. I think offensively, they're always going to be able to put up points with those weapons that they have. I just think defensively, they're kind of, similar to my crew, to some of the Cowboys in terms of offensively. They got weapons for days.
But no defense.
Defensively, yeah, defensively, it's just a lot of holes. So I would definitely see, I could see them doing something on the defensive side. So it'll be tough, like I said, because you got those two core guys. Your offensive weapons are, getting up there, and they want to make a run. Especially after they made that run to the Super Bowl a few years ago. They want to get back and get it done. So that's a tough call.
Yeah, it's definitely a tough call. But let's move right along to the NFL hot takes. Jay, I'm gonna go with you first. What you got today for the NFL hot takes?
Oh man, there's a lot of stuff going on, but I'm gonna jump straight to the free agency and what we've been watching. And I honestly think that this Rodney Hudson move, this is going back to what you were talking about, Chris. I think now Derek is really on the hot seat. I think if they finish less than 9 wins, I think Derek is out of here. And the reason being is there's one of two things are happening over there. Either A, we got bad play calling. And the offensive line is like, I don't know what to tell you. Or B, Derek Carr ain't out there doing what he's supposed to do in the right times. But we talked about this. We signed a 10-year contract for a coach. I see the quarterback moving before I see the coach moving, and trading the best center in the game, if not the best offensive lineman in the league, for scraps of metal. Derek Carr is on his way out next.
See,
and don't be surprised.
I got mixed emotions on it.
Don't be surprised.
I got mixed emotions on it because it's not him that has to go, but it's so not. Like that. So like I see what you're saying, but that organization is just making it so like okay, they traded everybody. You're gonna say they're gonna rebuild, but they're losing so many of their good pieces from last year. Aguilar is going. You get rid of literally every single offensive lineman. So I'm confused on what this franchise is trying to do. So on a Derek Carr standpoint, it sucks that he's going to get blamed when everything around him is being taken away. You have a decent year last year, but then boom, let's take it away. We're going to rebuild again. I hope he demands for a trade because instead of getting traded. I say this. If they go out and play bad, his value is going to be low, which might be good for him because you can say, okay, I can possibly go into a better situation. Because more times out of 10, you got a low value, a better team will go for you. But if you got a high value, a lot of teams don't want to give up some of the pieces that they already have in the store. But I'm with you, but I feel like Gruden, the coach, need to be on the hot seat.
That's actually my hot take. Is that Gruden and Mike Mayock are on their way out the door.
Just old school.
I have no idea. I cannot understand the direction that they're going with this team. They pretty much gutted the whole offensive line. They let, like you said, Aguilar walk away. They let Booker walk, and then they sign another running back when you got Josh Jacobs.
Don't make no sense.
That's what I'm saying. They don't have no plan. They don't have no rhyme or reason for what they're doing. And I just think at this point, to cut bait and start all over, I feel bad for the Raiders fans because it's every time they're in Las Vegas, they got a new situation, new stadium, and the team they don't have no direction. They have no direction, and you don't know what they're doing.
The only thing that I can think of with the wide receiver situation is, all right, are they going to transition Fuller to be more of a primary number one target and come out of the tight end? Like, I don't understand it. Like,
Waller's a beast.
The year before, you go out and get
Waller is a beast.
Then you let him go. Like, I don't get it.
What other weapon is there besides Waller?
Except for you got Henry Ruggs, who's literally Henry Ruggs right now is only a deep threat. But Kenny, I'm liking y'all hot take, and I'm with Jay. I feel like you saying Derek Carr is going to be the blame, which he shouldn't be. We had and Kenny, I'm with you. I feel like the coach and GM should be on the hot seat. They signed him to this long, ridiculous contract. Why would you sign a guy that was out the game that long to a contract? You're in Las Vegas.
And
Like-
see, the other thing is here, guys, we could just be seeing a transition in the front office where Gruden's going to do both.
And then they're screwed.
And that would
They're
be
screwed.
a huge mistake.
They're screwed. They're literally screwed. He got
And I
handed
don't disagree.
every single good team he got handed. You know, so it's like
I mean, the Tampa one,
Yeah, that was Tony Dungy's team.
he got handed.
Yeah.
he
Just
did
like
a little scoping.
just like we talk about different sport, but we talk about Mark Jackson and Steve Kerr. And Steve Kerr got handed that team. He maybe sprinkled 2 pieces of salt on there. You know, Gruden might have sprinkled 2 pieces of salt on there, but that team was already very burst out the bubble. And so I'm just not understanding why he's like, I'm with y'all, and I wish my hot take was the same, so we can keep talking about this a little bit longer. But I'm gonna be real quick with my hot take. We saw a lot of big free agents being moved and traded. This was only just the beginning. I feel like one team is going to look around and say, "Man, I gotta be better than this team." You know, right now the top team, in my opinion, right now is the Buccaneers. So I'm looking at these teams that.
You're saying just in the league, you're not in free agency.
Yeah, just right now, they're defending champs. They're making good moves. So I think a team that's on the branch of saying, "Okay, we can get through." I'm thinking they're going to make a huge trade. And the team I'm talking about Miami. I think the Dolphins are going to make a shocking trade. I don't know what it's going to be and who it's going to be for, but they made some decent moves this offseason. They addressed some, they got Will Fuller, which we're going to talk about a little bit later, a wide receiver where I feel like they needed. They're making some decent moves this offseason. I feel like they're setting themselves up. They got a number 3 and number 18 pick. You got 2 top 20 picks. Now you can use them. You can use them well. Or you can parlay some of that into getting yourself an established superstar. I feel like Miami is going to go all in on something, but what are they going to go all in? I don't have the answer for that just yet. Because listen, it could be Watson. You could go out and get a new QB, or you could draft the Fields. I think whatever they're going to do this offseason, they're going all in for the championship.
That would be shocking if they drafted Fields after drafting 2 the year before.
They're going to do something shocking. And I feel like
definitely they are set up to make a big move. I agree.
The Dolphins, I feel like, are definitely going to do something shocking. And we see Mr. Delusional in the comments right now. Kenny's a bandwagon.
Why even acknowledge that?
Because I just want to set him in his place. You're not a bandwagon if you root for family. Please pull out. You tried to post something on Facebook saying where I talked about the Colts in January, saying what they needed to upgrade. Tell me how I'm a Colts fan.
Moving on.
I just want to put him in his place.
Don't even give him
the win. Let's transition into this free agency.
Let's go.
I got y'all with some names.
How do you feel about Mr. Trubisky?
Terrible. I don't know what he was thinking. And that was the first name I was going to bring up. I don't know what the mindset was going to the Bills to back up. Why not go to a team where you have a chance to start like Washington or a team like, and let me think, it's other teams that I'm going to think of in a couple of minutes, teams where you probably could have went and had a better chance of starting, fighting for a role. Like you go there, I'm lost. Like Miami, the Jets, like
I think he didn't. That was just it. Like he wants a year to just recharge and sit back and
I'm not surprised though.
I think.
Well, then why don't you call New England? I would have called New England myself. Like, hey, can I just come over there and learn? Like,
but here's the thing: the Bills got good coaching though. The Bills got a very good quarterback coach and a very good OC and a very good head. The Bills got a good staff.
But bro, you are gonna be picking up balls.
Oh you're gonna be a backup. I don't understand. Backup. Yeah, and the thing is, there's a difference. Like Jameis Winston, he went and backed up Drew Brees, a guy that's getting older. You're backing up Josh Allen, who hasn't even signed his first contract yet. A guy that was drafted 1 year after you. I'm not like, are we all? I was shocked when I saw that.
Yeah, totally.
I was shocked.
Yeah,
baffled.
Yeah,
totally. That was just.
But they did need they needed a backup quarterback.
You're right.
Why they did it?
You're 100% right on that. I don't understand him though. Like,
right. No, I got you.
I think they made a good move.
I was honestly under the impression he was going to play in the NFC East. I was under the impression he was. I could have seen him in Philadelphia for a fight.
No, he wouldn't be able to last in Philly.
But I would have seen him there for a fight.
I
And
thought
then,
Yeah, I would have
Washington.
saw him in Washington before
I
Philly.
definitely
Yeah.
see him in Washington.
Washington, Miami to me were the two. Washington, Miami to me were the top two when I'm looking
I
at
would even
teams.
took my chances of going to Cincinnati just in case Joe wasn't back in time.
True.
Like, man, there's a lot of other changes. Who else did you have for us?
I want to talk about AJ Green sounded to the Arizona Cardinals. Now I'm gonna go first. And, I want Kenny to know next, so you can go last and really bring it home on why this move is important to you. But I'm gonna be real quick. One-on-one matchups is going to be a problem if everybody stays healthy. Like AJ Green, when them Cincinnati Bengals, they're trash. Don't get me wrong. Shout out to my guy, Coach Cam. But they did have years where they was going 10-6. They did have years where AJ Green was top 3, top 4 wide receiver in the game. If he's able to stay healthy, and now he got a true number one with him. A true, like D-Hop is here. AJ Green, AJ Green doesn't have to do the same things he was doing when he was in Cincinnati. So now you got two guys that are one-on-one nightmares. Who you want to double? Two guys on the outside. D-Hop's a route runner. AJ Green is in the back end of his career. Some people may say, but I think he's going to be rejuvenated with the Cardinals. I think this was a huge move that Arizona did. Signing two guys that you have on the outside, two guys you need to have another playmaker with D-Hop. With any star receiver that you have, any star pass catcher that you have, you need to have somebody that can complement them. I think those two guys are going to complement, each other well. Now, the only question I have for the Cardinals is who's going to be that slot or tight end? That's consistent slot or tight end. That's what I want to see. That's why I want to either they make a trade, they sign, they draft, or somebody steps up. But if they get a consistent slot or tight end, I think that's what's going to take that offense passing-wise to the next level. Kenny, how you feel about AJ Green going to the Cardinals?
Yeah, I agree with you in terms of he wanted to go to a winning, opportunity to win and an opportunity to play. So, and like you were saying about him being the number 2, I think that's the perfect situation for him. So I think that's why he did it. And, the question is now, the expectations they're going to be really high in Arizona. Jay, your guy, your coach, Cliff, he's got to get them they got to go to the playoffs. They got to make a run, or else all eyes are going to be on him. So I'm happy for AJ Green because, like you said, he's 32 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's not, he's had a couple of really injury-plagued seasons, but he's still 32 years old. He's still, got some time to be a contributor on a winning team. And so I think that's the biggest thing for him is he's going to have an opportunity to be a contributor on a winning team and not have to be the guy. We already, like you said, D-Hop is the guy. He can slide in there and do his thing on the opposite side. And I think they're going to be really dangerous. And Kyler Murray has some nice toys to play with next season. Go ahead, Jay.
Listen, with Jay, real quick before you go, I'm looking at the camera. This may be my new Money Madden team. I'm just saying, this may be my new Money Madden team. But Jay, man, I know you happy, man. I know you was happy.
Man. This is a week. I think it was like a week and a day before we signed or got the trade last year for DeAndre. Arizona is doing some things, and to come out before free agency start, hear Des Bryant say, "I would love to play with a dope team like that." To hear superstars saying Kyler Murray is an up and coming and a future superstar, and now to start seeing the big free agent signings. J.J. Watt was cool, fantastic. I loved it, but I've seen this before. I've seen an Edgerrin James. I've seen an Emmitt Smith. I've seen those type of signings with J.J. Watt. So as happy as I am, I still know that he's an older guy. I still know that he's on the end of his career. It could be a splash in the pan, or we can hit big. I still understand that. But getting A.J. Green, and a lot of people are putting A.J. Green in that J.J. Watt category, which A.J. Green is not in that J.J. Watt category. And what I think that we're about to see is go ahead. Let somebody sitting on the island with A.J. Green. Go ahead if you want to. He is going to destroy them. He's 6'4". Having him as a number 2 at 6'4", just any wide receiver that he can catch, that's a big problem. But a 6'4" wide receiver that is typically one of the best wide receivers in the league on
When
a regular
healthy.
basis.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So
That's scary.
we got to remember who we're getting. He had Joe last year for half a year. He had nobody the year before. Andy Dalton the year before that, and he was a 1,000-yard receiver. So putting him without getting double teamed, without defensive scheming against him,
Right.
without safeties overshadowing him and linebackers looking at him to bust him when he's coming over the middle, this dude is about to destroy the league. And the other thing, going into that slot, you guys got to remember who we're dealing with. We're dealing with Kine, and yes, Bruce Arians is gone. Yes, and all that. But Kine knows what he's doing as well. So we're about to be able to put DeAndre in the slot. We're about to be able to put him on the outside. We're going to be moving around.
They're going to be moving around for sure.
Yeah, like we were doing with Larry Fitzgerald. So we're not going to have a normal number 1, number 2 slot. No, our receivers are going to be everywhere on the field. We're going to be mixing it up. We got 5 solid wide receivers now because our back end is not as bad because they're not facing the number 1 and number 2 corners. So this is about to be fantastic. And Christian Kirk is about to have a breakout year.
I'm waiting for him to have a breakout year. I'm a fan of Christian Kirk. I think now, especially when you got a guy, AJ Green, like you got some guys ahead of you where they're going to make life easier for you because defenses are going to be worried about them. Correct. You're going to have a chance to get more open. But let's, stay on this Cardinals subject. The best corner in franchise history left. Patrick Peterson has signed with the Minnesota Vikings, my guy Brenton Herrera's team. 1 year, $10 million. Me personally, I had a feeling this was going to come because he should have been one of the first deals that should have been made. So once I saw that a lot of deals were being made, not him, I had a feeling he might walk. Now, I'll be honest. Him going to the Vikings, I didn't see that happening. Out of all the teams he could have signed to, Minnesota was probably the last team on my mind. I thought he'd went to Kansas City, maybe Buffalo, a team that actually has a chance of winning something. But he went to the Vikings. And no disrespect to you, Brandon. We all know your Vikings, they're struggling to be the second best team in their division. They're definitely not making out the NFC East as of March 18th. Because
the third best team in the division next year.
They're about to be as of March 18th. They don't have no shot of making our division. They have no shot of making the Super Bowl. Things might change. We don't know how the next 4 or 5 months is going to be. But as of today, this signing doesn't make them extremely better to where I can confidently say that they're better than the Bears or confidently say that they're better than the Packers. And if you're not better than the best team in your division that went to the NFC Championship, what chances do you have of winning? Now, on the Cardinals standpoint, Jay, tell me if I'm wrong. This is a huge blow. Now, unless you go out and you get a Dory Jackson, you go out and you get, Casey Hayward, one of those corners that have some experience. If you got the corners that you have right now, it's wraps because you got decent corners, but this is a pass-happy league. You got to make stops. Patrick Peterson was the ultimate corner. So losing him, the experience he had, yeah, you got Budda Baker. Yeah, you got Isaiah Simmons, but what corner is going to step up? Jay, I'm going to give it to you. How shocked were you that Patrick Peterson signed with the Minnesota Vikings?
I wasn't shocked at all. I knew this was coming when that last extension happened. We overpaid for him on the last extension. And what that was our last hurrah. Like, yo, you got to do something. He had the pads issue. And then, he had a little bit of injuries. You guys got to remember the thing that made him so dynamic and overpaid was the fact that he was a shutdown corner that took chances and had the makeup speed. But on top of that, he was one of the most premier returners in the league. Mm-hmm. He does not return the football anymore. He does not have the makeup speed anymore. Last year, he lost his second step, and that was he was getting burnt. So you can't make the same ball hawk moves. You can't be the same ball attacking corner as you were if you don't have that makeup speed and people are beating you off the line. Patrick Peterson was getting torn down by number one receivers last year with speed. And that's an issue. Stephon Diggs was killing him in that Buffalo game. Every snap, he was killing him. And I can't pay a corner $10 million a year and have You constantly having battles on Twitter with all these other people.
Mm-hmm.
You're not in the game. I don't see you really in the game like you used to be, man. You're now arguing with referees. You're now like there's so many other aspects of what I think led to Patrick Peterson's demise here. But another thing, he was never the best corner of Arizona Cardinals ever. Aeneas Williams, please. Let's stamp that, Mr. Aeneas Williams.
You're right. I was putting a little, you gotta put a little jazz on something. One of the best corners in the past, 20 years.
Hey,
you gotta put a little jazz. Shout out to Aeneas.
But
in his prime, he was
knocking on that door. But that's the thing. That's what we were paying him for. That's what that last extension was like. We're gonna show homage. We're gonna let you, do your thing. But you need to show us something again.
He didn't do it. I'll say, I see what you're talking. Like when you talking about shutting down corner, like he's probably not the guy anymore. But he had a time where
he was the man.
He was the man.
I had this argument with you and tell you he was the best corner in the league besides Darrelle Revis.
Yeah, but I feel what you're saying. Now he's getting a little bit older. He's not being. I see you.
But now on the standpoint of our team this year. And I've said this before when we first started all this, and even the day that JJ Watt happened. If we do not keep Patrick Peterson, nothing that we did matters.
Yeah, I remember. That's why I remember.
You know what I'm saying? So right now, if I'm Keim, I'm the one on the horn looking for how to get up to 3 or 4 to make sure we get J.C. Horn, make sure we get one of these prolific corners in the draft.
Did you trade for Gilmore?
Depends on what they want. We just got rid of a third for Rodney. Sure. I mean, I don't know if I'm giving up too many more pieces this year.
Makes sense.
I think if we can do a future pick, if we can do, if we can get rid of one of these bottom end wide receivers, Sheffield, or even I'll give him Andy Isabella at this point.
It's gonna take more than that.
Yeah, I feel what you're saying. I feel what you're saying.
Pick, you know what I mean? Like something like that. But I can't give him no more draft picks this year.
Oh yeah, I'm definitely not mad at you. But Jay, you asked this question in the chat earlier, and I want to address it. You said, "What's going to be the biggest name on the move that's going to hurt the team the most next year?" So I'm gonna let you answer that question first.
That was my shit. I mean, excuse my French. That was my dude right there. I was gonna say, man, that Patrick Peterson thing is really, really gonna kill us. Outside of that, I'm gonna go with Chicago in the Mitch Trubisky because I think it hurts them really bad as well. Now you got only Nick Foles there, and as much as you didn't toggled around with him, it's like a battered, man or a woman in a relationship that's been, in a domestic violence relationship now. Now that the problem is gone, the one that was beating up on him, he's still already in shell shock. So I think he's gonna have the worst year. They don't have nowhere to turn after that, and they're gonna have to just go down in the ship with him selling it down, which is gonna be even worse for him. So I think Chicago is really gonna feel this one.
What about you, Kenny? How you feel about that?
Yeah, I could see that, but I guess they think Andy Dalton is a stopgap and it's going to, get them over for the next year, which, as a Cowboys fan, he's solid. That's pretty much it. He's not, anybody that's going to be a top tip. But for me, I'm going to the Giants and their continual offensive line issues. It's going to be another year where they're going to try to patchwork the offensive line. They just lost, I think Seitzler is the guy's name, the guard. Mm-hmm. So I just think that is another, and Saquon Barkley coming back from an injury. So I think that move there is going to hurt. It's going to hurt the Giants. So they're going to struggle again to protect Daniel Jones and to make holes for Saquon Barkley.
For me, I think it's a tough one because it's a lot of players that could possibly be on a move that is not known yet. That's going to be a shocker, like that Pat Pete one. So if I'm sticking with corner, I'd say Adoree Jackson for the Titans because the Titans, like last year or 2 years ago, I'd say when they made their first run all the way to the AFC Championship, it was the defense was super strong and you had some type questions about the offense. For me, last year the offense was more strong and the defense was questionable. So you already got rid of Malcolm Butler. Dory Jackson's on the move. What corners are you going to have? Now you signed some pass rushers. You made some move on that end, but who you want to have on the back end? That's my thought process because it is a pass happy league, and if you can get to the quarterback fast, that's fine. Because that's how my Eagles in 2018 we won our Super Bowl because we were able to get after the quarterback. But if you're not able to get after the quarterback, what's your back end gonna look like? So I feel like if the Titans don't address that, losing two of their best corners, I think that's going to hurt them in the long run unless they upgrade something. I just want to address some in the comments real quick. Brandon Herrera, and we talked about this in the chat too. Kyle Rudolph should have signed with the Bills, not the Giants. I think so because that's a red zone threat that I feel like the Bills, needed. I feel like you want to have a chance to actually win something of significance there. If you go to the Giants, you're a true number 2. You're not going to get a lot of playing time. You're really not. You're competing to maybe win the division. With the Bills, you're competing to win a championship. There's levels to it.
I think we're seeing some teams that have a little bit of extra money because we're in this COVID situation and a lot of teams are strapped. So, I think that Kyle Rudolph was a strapped market for an older tight end, and I think New York, like you said, both of you guys mentioned Saquon coming back, offensive line woes with people leaving. Kyle Rudolph will kind of help out, on that offensive line, even though he's not an offensive lineman per se, but he's a good blocking tight end. So, and he's a vet, knows what to do in that camaraderie. So, I think we're also seeing a bit of that too, man. And that's why I think about the Patrick Peterson thing. I really think that PP, $10 million, I think we would have stretched out and gave it to him last year, without this COVID thing.
If the cap wasn't 182.5, y'all gonna have Pat Peterson back.
That's
y'all got Pat Pete
right
back.
there. That's right there.
Yeah.
So,
I can see that.
So you know what I mean? I honestly think, and then without a strap season, I think that $10 million for Patrick off the last 3 years that he's had is a lot.
Mm-hmm.
He hasn't been a shutdown corner at all in any degree in the last 3 years.
You're right about that.
He had the injury, and then he had the bad year, then he had last year.
Right. I say, yeah, I ain't mad at that one. I'll be honest with you.
So,
all right. So let's switch gears here, and so which division you guys think will have a new winner next season? Go ahead. I'm gonna go to Chris first, and then Jay, you go.
Ooh. All right. So I've been thinking about this. Right now, I'm going AFC East. I think, and I'm super high taking on this. I feel like the Patriots are about to go crazy next year. I believe, the Patriots and the Bills. Don't sleep on the Dolphins. They were 10-6 with a lot of questions on offense. I feel like it's going to be one of those divisions where, like how we saw with the NFC South last year, when you had, the Buccaneers not be the number 1 seed, but with a wild card and still competing for a championship. I think that's what we're going to see out of AFC East. I think this is going to become one of the best divisions in the NFL. They got the bottom team, which is the Jets. All that money in draft stock, they should be fine in a couple years. But the top 3 teams, I think right now, if you ask me, I say the Patriots. I think have a good chance of winning the next year. But the Bills, they made a good move and get Emmanuel Sanders. We didn't talk about that as much, but we'll definitely talk about it a little bit more next week. That was a very good move. But for me, I think the Patriots, I truly believe that they're going to win the division next year.
I can't argue that. I mean, it's. I mean, they definitely won the offseason Super Bowl so far.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I'm going to go with the cheat code here, the NFC West. I think that we've made the most moves in football offseason. I'm not going to say just my Cardinals. The Rams are doing a lot. I will say, since I'm on them right now, that Michael Brockers move had my head ringing a little bit. I didn't understand it. I was really lost with that one. I know they were trying to make some cuts because they're one of the worst salaries teams in the league, but that really knocked me just like that Rodney Hudson one. But I really think with LA making the moves they have and the pilot of the ship changing, they can really increase. And then let's be honest, Seattle's having issues. So I don't know what's happening in the closets over there, but Seattle's having issues. So, with Seattle having issues, and San Francisco was a hurt team. We don't know what they're going to look like again. So, all three of the teams that were chasing them last year are going to be right there again. And I think this is the year that Seattle opens the doors of their kingdom and lets us in, man.
Well, for me, I got the NFC East real easy because it's a different team that wins every year. So
yeah, it definitely is.
It's just as low-hanging fruit. That's just low-hanging fruit. The NFC East is basically a turnstile in terms of who wins the division every year. So I just because again, who's going to be the quarterback for Washington? Is Dak going to be healthy, coming back healthy, and get back to who he was? The Giants are in flux. Are they going to get a number one receiver? So, you know what I'm saying? So, in Philly, of course, they're transitioning now to win. Mark. Yeah, so it's just question marks all around. So, that to me is a division that's definitely who knows who's going to win.
Mm-hmm. I definitely agree with you on that
one. Speaking of that, since you kind of already brought up the AFC East, are the Patriots a contender after all the moves they made so far? Does it put them right there, not only in that division, but right there with the best of the rest of the NFL?
I say yeah.
I'm going to go, because you already kind of gave me what you said. I'm going to go with Kenny first.
Okay. So, yeah, we talked about, winning. You said, Jay, about winning the all-season Super Bowl. And that sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. Just ask the Washington football team because they used to win the all-season Super Bowl every year. It seemed like for a few years there. So, to me, though, I think the key is Cam. If Cam plays at a high level, then there's no question that they're going to be a contender. But, if he struggles or if he doesn't, get back to who he was, in those Carolina days, I think he's going to be the key, or he's going to be the determining factor whether or not they're going to be a contender. If they, able to figure out that offense to, use his running ability and as well as, the play action and the passing and get the ball down the field with those weapons that they brought in, then, they could be a contender. But, if Cam struggles, if he gets banged up, but I think he's the key. So as Cam goes, they go. That's what I think in terms of the Patriots.
Chris?
I feel about him. I think they're going to win the division. You go out, and last year we said this dude had no weapons. He's out there by himself. So coming back on a prove-it year, he's already, he's handicapped. So coming into this season, you get him Hunter Henry, one of the best tight ends available. Then you also followed out with Jonnu Smith. So you get two tight ends with a quarterback. You got a questionable arm, having two security blankets, is going to help you a lot. I think his arm is good, but, everybody questioning it. Getting yourself two security blankets is going to help a lot, and two versatile tight ends. Then you go get a Nelson Aguilar. By the way, no love in Philly still, but the year he had with the Raiders, he showed that he can be a decent wide receiver. You go out, you get Bourne. Still got N'Keal Harry. You still got Edelman. So it's like, and you got a number 15 pick. Then on the defensive side, you bring back Van Noy, a leader, a guy that, played a lot of positions on that defense, helped win the Super Bowl. You're bringing in 6 guys that started, 2019 that opted out last year because of COVID. You're bringing in 6 former starters back. So if you look at the amount of guys they have returned into the roster, they by far win all season. You could say that just off the guys returning from COVID.
Yeah.
So with all the moves that they made so far, I think it does make them a contender. And, Kenny, you're right. It does all depend on Cam Newton. If Cam Newton could just, you got weapons now. We all know what you do on the ground. If you can be a leader, if you can, make the necessary passes, you don't have to go out there and be Patrick Mahomes, but you have to be able to win games, not lose games. If he's able to do that, help elevate the team, take them to the next level, be that leader, I think the sky is the limit for this team. Also, in that running back situation, guys got to stay healthy. And Michelle and James White. I wonder if they go out and they get a cheap running back. That, do they go out and you go out and
they don't mind using 3 running backs, so I could definitely see that happening.
Go out and get yourself an AP who's cheap. I would go get an AP. He's not,
Watch out. They mess around and get somebody deep in the draft. Late in that first round.
They got the 15th pick. Who knows what they do with that? you know, and then you mess around, you go get yourself, you know. Listen, they got a lot of moves that they can still make. And like Jay said, like they won so far the all-season Super Bowl, and they're not even close to being finished. They're looking to go back-to-back in this all-season Super Bowl. Free to see draft and trade, and they doing has to get the job done. So I feel like the Patriots are a contender. I can't wait to see them this year.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be quick with it because we sounds like we're all going in the same direction. But no, man, I mean, we all saw Cam Newton getting down in the red zone and literally 3-run quarterback sneaks because they don't have nothing to do. They don't have nowhere to turn. And I mean, I don't care what no one says. I still believe in N'Keal Harry's abilities as a wide receiver. And he had a horrible start with the injury. And then last year, I mean, you just put 3 people on that side and there ain't nobody else on the team to throw to. So it didn't matter. Now with, Hunter, Smith, and then Nelson, they're going to look at Nelson more than they're going to look at Harry. So watch for Harry to have a breakout year as well. But with the returning starters that sat out and the haul of free agency they hit on this first wave, it looks ridiculous for that AFC East.
Oh yeah, it definitely looks ridiculous. A lot of teams are making moves, but let's talk about a team that let go of their quarterback they drafted with a top 5 pick to bring in a guy who is a backup, a guy that has little success in the Chicago Bears, bringing in Andy Dalton. My question to you guys is, do you think the head coach and the GM of the Chicago Bears should be on the hot seat? Kenny, I'll go, to you first with that.
Absolutely. They have to be on the hot seat because you just mentioned it. Like, they took the top 5 pick. That was a bust. They traded for Nick Foles. That didn't work. Bust. Now they're trying Andy Dalton. So that's 3 strikes and you out. Because of course we know the quarterback is the most important position on the team. So they have not been able to address that weakness, and they haven't been able to handle that position. And so as a result, now they're on the clock because we already talked about it. Green Bay's not going anywhere. You know what I'm saying? Minnesota's trying to come up. They weren't that far away. So who knows what's going to happen in this next year with them? They may make a move and they may move up and move past them. And if that happens and Green Bay does what they do, then they're out of the playoffs and they're definitely gone. So yeah, they're on the hot seat.
How you feel about that, Jay?
Yeah, that's why earlier when I said what I said about Mitch, I didn't even mention Andy Dalton. Andy Dalton was in a situation where I don't as much as I don't like the Dallas Cowboys, they're a much better quarterback situation and coaching staff and all that for a quarterback than Chicago is. I mean, name a Chicago quarterback, Rex Grossman, Jay Cutler. So, it's really bad. It's a bad situation over there. It's worse bringing in Andy Dalton and getting rid of Mitch Trubisky. You got worse, not better, no matter how you look at it. And the organization, the owner, the GM, the coach, the coach's coach, whoever ties his shoes and shines his shoes, everybody a part of that situation should be on the hot seat. They shouldn't let the janitors stay.
Now, you said something that I was going to say, which is a crazy even statement to say, and it's sad that it's true. They downgraded from Mitchell Trubisky. Do you know how hard that, and listen, you made it to the NFL, Mitchell Trubisky. Shout out to you. You're doing things that, people only dream of.
Yeah.
But compared to the guys that were drafted after you, compared to the guys that are doing it on a higher level, you're not on that level just yet the way you've been playing. And they went outside the guy that was under him. For me, even what Kenny said, you went Mitch, strike 1, Foles, strike 2. You're bringing in Dalton. That should automatically be a strike 3. You should be going after that. And in fact, they went out and put out together that huge package for Russell Wilson. I would have kept adding stuff. I'd have put together a James Harden type of trade for that. And you put in. Listen, them, they needed a quarterback.
They put a stop to that. They signed Andy Dalton quick. What?
Listen, I would have tried to move up in the draft to get a Justin Fields, to get a Zach Wilson, even a Mac Jones. Somebody.
I think they were scared to make that same mistake again.
They were, and what's sad, because the sad thing is nobody even thought Mitchell Trubisky was worth his pick. At least Zach Wilson and Justin Fields will be worth, that top 3, top 4 pick that you trade up to get. Even Trey Lance would somewhat be worth it. Nobody thought Mitchell Trubisky was going to be good anyway. So everybody was wondering why would you draft him over, why would you draft him over Watson?
Yeah.
Forget Mahomes, right? Mahomes put up decent stats, but Watson was
no
winning.
one knew Mahomes.
No. And now if you watched him, you knew he was a gunslinger. You didn't know that.
But you didn't know he was going to do this.
You didn't know he was going to do this, but you knew
Watson.
Yeah, you knew Watson was winning.
Yeah.
Watson was on the, on primetime TV winning. Beating Alabama, taking his team to the championship. So you knew he was there. So to not draft him for Mitchell Trubisky, I feel like they dug their own grave. And they brought Andy Dalton, they brought the headstone in. I don't understand the mindset.
It's like the only players I even look at like under Mitch Trubisky is like Mark Sanchez, Sam Darnold. Those players pop in my head.
Chill on Sam Darnold.
Then you go and get Andy Dalton, and I'm like, oh yeah. And Andy Dalton.
Andy Dalton's worse. I honestly don't understand that move. Yeah, I see the rumor, Brandon. I saw it. They probably offered more because they realized the only way to say their jobs was to get his franchise QB, and they didn't do that. They offered everything.
Oh,
if they really offered that, then they really should.
They offered that. The Seahawks are dumb for
both teams. Houston, I would have picked the phone if I was Houston.
I would have gave that up in a heartbeat.
We got Watson.
But I truly believe it was at least 3 first rounders at Khalil Mack. Everything else, I don't know, but I know for sure that 3 first rounders are.
I'm glad they didn't make that trade because that would have been worse than them not having neither one of them. I'd rather them sign Andy Dalton than trade 3 first rounders, 2 second rounders, and Khalil Mack.
Like it's And the sad thing is, man, I don't see Allen Robinson want to sign that franchise tag. I thought the only way he was going to sign it is if they brought in an elite or a decent quarterback. You could have traded for Sam Darnold. You could have did something, but instead you settled for Andy Dalton. So on that note, I'm done talking about the Bears because this is dysfunctional franchise at its finest.
The janitors shouldn't even stay.
Nobody should stay.
So listen, let's get to the most important question of the night when it comes to football. Should the Cowboys trade one of their wide receivers for another piece? I know I'm going to go right to Chris because I know it's really going to be hard for him to answer objectively. Go ahead, Chris.
Honestly, it's not because I've been saying this. I said as soon as they drafted CeeDee Lamb, I said they're making a mistake, and here's why. For me, I thought now they have identity crisis on offense. That you paid Zeke all this money. Now you got 3 really, really elite. Let me not say elite. 3 really, really good. 1 maybe elite, but 3 really, really good wide receivers. So now you're going to be pass happy or you're going to run the ball. I had a feeling that they were not going to know the balance and I was going to slow down their offense. The offense was going to be stagnant at times. And I saw that at the beginning of the year. Like when they went 2-3 quarters without scoring, then at the end, Dak is having these big stats. If it was me personally, I would trade Gallup if I could and get a corner, get a pass rusher, or get, some offensive linemen. Because right now, I think they're going to have identity crisis on offense. Now, let me say this. Gallup is a very, very good wide receiver. For sure number 2. For sure number 2. And I'd take him on the Eagles. One thing about me, I don't hate on talent. I don't hate on talent. Chill out. Don't go too far. But I don't hate on talent. I don't care if it's in the division. If you're talented, I respect you. Now, he dropped some passes, but he's still a very, very good wide receiver. Amari Cooper been a fan since college. CeeDee Lamb, I knew he was going to be a beast. But for me, I think until one of those wide receivers go, they're going to have an identity crisis on offense, which is not going to allow them to reach their full potential. As soon as they drafted CeeDee, I said, well, you only drafted him because of this, so the Eagles want to get him, but that's going to hurt your offense in the long run. And I feel like, they all could they could all 3 have 1,000 yards, and I don't think they go 9-7.
Who's the number 1 out of all of them?
Amari Cooper ain't close.
Of course.
To me, it goes like this. One day it look like CeeDee, one day it look like Amari. One day it look like CeeDee, one day it look like Amari. Then Gallup has a great game, 2 games together. You don't trade neither one of them. Not until you have a complete season of that whole team, that whole offense without injuries. We have not seen what they put together. We haven't seen it. Ezekiel was hurt, and then Dak was hurt. It was never the whole squad. And that's one thing I will say about Dallas. As much as I dislike them, I don't like to say very much nice things about them. But
you and everybody else.
But the one thing I'll say about them, they put together squads year in, year out. But they're either injury riddled or they don't work.
Or they fold.
Yeah. And this year, the fold was a lot with Tony Romo's era. But
this year was the injury. I give him that. This year was the injury.
And we haven't and CeeDee Lamb is young still. He needs to be smacked in the mouth a couple times. He needs to, have a
baller
playoff run. He needs to have those things like that. And I think that's going to elevate him from just being a baller to being that legit superstar that the Dallas Cowboys typically have at wide receiver. And back to Amari Cooper, he's not your typical superstar for the Dallas Cowboys organization. And I think that also is playing a part into the situation with, Jerry Jones and how he is building his offense. Because, yeah, he has Amari Cooper. Yeah, he knows Amari Cooper is a beast. But Amari Cooper's not Michael Irvin. Amari Cooper's not Des Bryant. CeeDee Lamb is that guy.
But he's low maintenance.
Yeah, that's the thing, though. Amari Cooper is
low maintenance.
Yeah,
exactly. Which should be a good thing.
Legit. He knows that. But what were you going to say, Chris?
It should be a good thing because he's not in the head, like he's not making he's going out there and doing his job every single night. That should be a positive.
Jerry Jones want that from his wide receivers. Jerry Jones wants Michael Irvin. Jerry Jones wants Des Bryant. Jerry Jones wants Terrell Owens. I
don't know about that because all the last two guys, they wound up getting rid of them because they became headaches. Des Bryant and Terrell Owens.
But that was the end of their careers.
That's all. But my point is that once your production doesn't match your personality.
Correct.
That's what happens. You know what I'm saying?
Now, he goes into the high rollers section of the casino and throws it all in. But that's the type of guys he likes.
No, I see what you're saying. I think they shouldn't. I agree with you that they should not because, we already talked about that the NFL is a passing league.
Mm-hmm.
So when you got that stable of wide receivers and a running game, and, you got Blake Jarwin also at tight end. So offense is really the strength. So you got to play to your strength. And, we got the 10th pick in the draft, which we could use to find a playmaker especially in the secondary. That's what I want to see happen. A playmaker in the secondary. So I think between their draft, between having that high pick, free agency, we made brought back Jordan Lewis and make a couple of other plays and do some things in the draft. I think we do it that route. Go through the draft and free agency to shore up the defense and then just play to your strengths because your offense right now is what's the strength of the team.
I agree with you on that. And for everybody out there, listen, this is no Cowboys hate. I just, in my mind, if you got a dysfunctional GM that, in a perfect world, a GM would know what he's doing, make the right moves. But it's not a perfect world. Jerry Jones is not the perfect GM. So my mindset was, you trade Gallup, you can fill more holes.
No, I understand what you're saying.
So because he's the beast. But real quick though, would you give up Gallup and a pick for Khalil Mack?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. You put him with Lawrence. Oh my goodness.
And that's that's my mindset. I feel like Gallup is a good enough receiver where if you throw him, some picks, you're going to be able to get a very good pass rusher or a very good corner.
There's not too many people I would give up on my team for Khalil Mack.
Yeah, absolutely. Like
everybody on my team can go for Khalil Mack.
I'm telling you, bro, Khalil's a ball.
Everybody on my team.
That's a premium position.
Everybody can go. Yeah, everybody. I'm not even going to dwell on that. I love y'all, but maybe Miles and no. Everybody can go for.
Staying still in the free agent sector, I should say.
Yeah.
Who was the most underrated free agent signing of day one? I mean, who was the most underrated? Went on the radar. They haven't really been talking about it, but you think it's going to make the biggest impact. Let's go to you first, Chris.
I touched on it briefly earlier. Emmanuel Sanders going to the Buffalo Bills. I think you let go of John Brown. You're bringing a guy like Emmanuel Sanders who has experience. Made deep playoff runs. Can be a guy that can go, outside slot, can move around. I think you adding more weapons is going to help this team because honestly, I feel like the play of Stephon Diggs and Josh Allen carried this team to be better than what it was. Just like for instance, somehow it was like with the Cardinals, Kyler Murray and D Hop, made a lot of problems disappear because how good they were carrying them to wins. I feel like that happened this year with the Buffalo Bills. Their defense wasn't as dominant as last year. They had no running game. Other weapons were injured. So I feel like bringing in more established wide receivers, more established pass catchers, not only is going to make the job easier for Stephon Diggs, but make it easier for your quarterback. Yes, he had a big year last year, but if you expect him to be Superman, you should always expect that out of your QB. Make it easier for him, which is going to result in more wins. I feel like that's a move that, like I said, an established, experienced wide receiver. Now you got him. You got young Gabriel Davis, who I think is good. Now you can learn from him and Diggs. You got Cole Beasley. That's some good wide receivers. Now what you going to do at that tight end? But as far as, underrated moves, I think that for me is my number one.
Yeah, for me, it's, and I hope I say his name right, Kyle Juszczyk, the fullback for the 49ers.
Oh, Juice.
Juszczyk, thank you. Because the running game is a big part of San Francisco's offense. And him opening up those holes helping to open up those holes for the running back is a big thing. As well as he's a safety valve in the passing game, that can use underneath. You know what I'm saying? So to me, that's one of the underrated or the moves of free agency for San Francisco because that continues to solidify their running game, gives them another weapon in the passing game, and makes the game a little easier for Jimmy G.
I swear, y'all, I don't be trying to just talk about the Cardinals, but this last couple of days,
some of the stuff you say makes sense though. That's why I can't get on you.
The last couple of days, but I think Matt Prater was a huge signing. We've had so many kicking issues over the last 8 years. I mean, I can go back.
Was it Jay Fairley is the last one?
Huh?
Jay Fairley, was he the last?
Well, Jay Feely was our last vet that was like, he came in as a savior because we were having so many issues. We got him halfway through the season and then signed him for a second season after that. But he got hurt too. The last one we got was Zane Gonzalez. And Zane was from ASU. He was a homegrown boy. I liked Zane. I was rooting for Zane. Zane started messing up. It wasn't that he missed a whole bunch of them. He missed the ones that mattered. How you kick 4 straight field goals and the last freaking field goal 36 yards away, you missed that one. So it was the style. We knew that he was not a pressure guy. That you got to go. You're at a pressure position. So Matt Prater he's a very solid kicker. He's been in Detroit forever, and I think that him being in Detroit, he stayed there because he was kicking the ball a lot. Bringing him in for the price that we got him in on a cut year as far as salary, and doing it in the fashion that we did it, bringing in other vets across other positions, I think this was a stamp to say, hey, we're really making our move, y'all. We're trying to not only make the playoffs this year, because to them we should have made the playoffs this past year. So it's not make the playoffs. This is NFC Championship game. This is Super Bowl break. Period.
Kicker is definitely an important position. Honestly, I thought y'all was going. I wanted to see this young guy, Donald De La Hoya. I'm gonna send you some of his clips. He's entering the draft. I wanted y'all, to not saying this dude's the next best kicker, but
you talking about to draft a kicker.
No, I'm talking about undrafted. You might not draft him, but you talking about, he's in the draft. You sign him, undrafted guy. But I'm not saying his name Destroying on YouTube. This dude is athletic. I'm talking about ran a 4.5, 4.6, 40-inch vertical, can kick bombs. I'm not saying you draft. Like this, not Al Davis drafting a punter in the early rounds, but I'm talking about getting a guy, sign him undrafted, and give him a shot. I want to.
King is one of my favorite kickers in the league, and he's so athletic. He could play so many different positions in the field. I wish they would give him some shots at a couple other positions, even on special teams if he's not kicking it.
Yeah, definitely. I think athletic kickers can make a difference if you got an innovative coach. But before we talk about the NBA, I introduced it, on Monday, we posted it on social media. We're going to take fan questions. So now here's the fan question for today's episode. You know, coming from a former ASAP viewer of the month, and here's the question.
Hello, it's Kendall Lum, former fan of the month. I got a question for you guys. Who do you think will win the NBA championship this year? As you can see in the back, got my pick. What's your guys?
This guy is going full Lakers, asking us who we think is going to win the championship this year. So, Kenny, I'm going to go with you first. What's the answer to that question?
Oh man, well, he may be right. Of course, if AD comes back.
Yeah, yes.
But KD comes back healthy, then it's the Nets. So it's between those two teams, and health is going to be the deciding factor which one comes back healthy, KD or AD. So I probably if I had to pick one, I'm gonna go with the Nets.
Jay, how you feel about that?
You guys know I'm sticking to what I said a long time ago. If the Nets got Harden, they're winning they're winning the NBA championship this year. And if they win the NBA championship this year, they're going to repeat.
It's hard for me to answer this question because, this year my team is actually like not just me, like national media is actually saying this team is good. Like last year, I thought we were phonies, but this year I'm like, let me not get too hyped. But the national media is making me more hype about my team that I want to be. But it's like when you watch your team, you know their strengths and their weaknesses, which I'm going to talk about a little bit later. So honestly, I think it is between the Nets and the Lakers. Which one is more healthy, KD or AD? But I think the third team in that mix would have to be Philadelphia. Because Joel Embiid to me is the most unguardable player in the league. You talking about a guy that can be dominant like Giannis, but a better post player and that can shoot better than Giannis. So I feel like we have all the tools to be successful, but some question marks. So the top two, even before the season started, before they made the trade, I said the Nets were the best team in the East, and I didn't think it was awfully that close. I thought they were the best team in the East, and now that they made the trade, I think they just stamped it. So that healthy. It's between the Lakers, it's between the Nets, but you got some stragglers that in the playoffs anything can happen. But let's stick with the NBA. NBA hot takes. Kenny, I'm going to you first. What you got?
All right. If the Bucks don't make another move to get another scorer, they're not getting past the second round. To me, that PJ Tucker move didn't really address what they needed. He's a 3-and-D guy, but he can't create his own offense. So I think, of course, he's a rugged guy, and much respect to him. He's a vet, so he's not going to hurt the team. But to me, you got to be able to have guns to bring to the fight to deal with the Nets and to deal with the Sixers. And I just think they don't have enough guns. Like I love Jrue Holiday. That was a great move to bring him in. But we talked about Middleton and whether or not he's
not enough.
Yeah, and Giannis, the game slows down, so him being able to bull his way to the basket, he's really gonna have to hit those, knock down those jump shots. So to me, they have to make another move, else it's just gonna be the same thing all over again.
And that's crazy because my hot take had to do with the Bucks. My hot take is that if the Bucks aren't successful this year, I don't think it's going to be Giannis' fault. If I'm looking at the guys on their team and how they're elevating their game, Giannis is the only one that I can say his game, he's taking it to the next level. And I know it's just the regular season, but he's doing things, each season he's adding something new to his game that we say he didn't do the year prior. If I'm looking at Chris Middleton, for an example, he's not changing. He's not elevating. He's that same, on a, barely give you 20 type of guy. And his role is supposed to be when it's playoff time, when it's half-court offense, we're trusting you to create your shot not only for yourself but maybe for others. I think Drew Holiday is perfect at his role. We're not asking him to be a Bradley Beal, James Harden type of scorer. We're asking him to be a two-way player, just a very upgraded version of Eric Bledsoe. I'm looking at this PJ Tucker trade. I'm saying, okay, now you got yourself a guy where you can go fake small ball because he can play the 4 and the 5. He's not going to be a defensive liability like, Brook Lopez if you're going against a team like the Nets maybe, and the Nets go somewhat small. But I'm looking at the bench, and I'm like, and I said this since the season started when they went all in. This is a team that has no bench. And if I look at the coach in years prior, he loves to play his bench. That's why I feel like his teams were always successful. And so everybody says you can't teach an old dog new tricks. I didn't know if he was going to be able to adjust. And then I didn't know if, Giannis was going to be able to adjust playing all these minutes. And then when I look at their bench, like you said, they have no scorers. You have to have a bench is going to win you 1 or 2 games in the playoffs. For everybody
Role
out there,
players, absolutely.
for everybody out there that says bench means nothing, listen to all the superstars talk about their rings. Shaq always talks about the others. Kenny always talks about the others. So everybody loves inside the NBA. When they talk about rings, they don't even talk about the star players. They talk about the others. So when I look at this team, I'm like, what others do they have? It's always others. 1 to 2 games, playoff series. Who cares? Regular season. Playoff time. Every single series, a bench is going to win you 1 or 2 games. Why were the Lakers so successful last year? Because every series they were able to adjust their lineups because of their bench. They went from going small against Houston to big against Denver, back to being versatile against Miami. Why? Because they had a versatile bench. If you don't have a good bench, you're not going to be successful. So this year, when I'm looking at the Bucks, I think everything around them is kind of improved, but I think Giannis is taking those next steps. And I feel like when it comes playoff time, when it comes to the games really mattering, we're gonna watch them play. We're gonna say, Giannis, it wasn't your fault this time. And I think that's gonna be the fate of Milwaukee Bucks. I don't, if they're successful, it's because Giannis has taken that next step. I think if they lose, I think Giannis is, not like years prior, he's going to dominate, but everybody around him is going to hold him back. Jay, what you got for the NBA hot takes?
Man, the LA Clippers are on alert. They are no longer the top 3 team in the West.
Oh,
they
wow.
are no longer a top 6 team in the NBA.
Wow.
I've seen so much digression from last year, this year. You lose Harrell. You start talk about trading Lou Will. You're moving so many pieces, or trying to move a lot of pieces around, and then losing pieces and not really replacing them. So Pat Bev, I know he's been in and out of being hurt and whatnot, but still, I've seen Kawhi and Paul George can't do this all by themselves. Paul George doesn't do well with a bunch of criticism thrown at him. I think he listens too much to the internet, and he listens too much to the commentators, and you can tell in his game when he's having issues. And Kawhi Leonard is not Superman. And we're seeing it. We're seeing it night in and night out. I think that the Suns picked up another role player in Tony Craig. And when Torrey gets over there, adding him into that rotation, we're just going to be that much thicker.
Yeah.
And I really think that they moved into the 4th position in the West, and they're the 6th best team in the NBA.
You talk about hot takes, and the Clippers are not even a top 5 team in the NBA. Is truly a hot take. I'll be honest with you, and I'm not mad at you for saying it, because that's what we do. We bring the hot takes. We say outlandish things that we can back it up, but there are going to be some crazy hot takes.
Yeah, definitely. I know that's a crazy hot take, but I mean, if you examine the situation, I'm not
mad at you.
No, it's not that outlandish, because it's still the same issues in terms of them having to make plays for themselves.
Yes, it's terrible.
And between Pat Bev and Reggie Jackson, it's just not the playmaking point guards that's going to get guys open looks.
Complete opposite.
It's going to be, they're just going to continue to struggle with that.
Reggie Jackson hasn't been what they thought he was going to be for them. And then also, where is Morris?
Now, Morris been somewhat decent. Morris,
I don't think so, bro.
He's
on the eyes test, he's doing it, but his stat box has been empty.
Now his stat, I say that his stat box it goes back and forth, but Like what Kenny said. I don't even think his stat bot can go back and forth, but they'll be able to win game because he shouldn't be a deciding factor. All right, winning, losing all these games. For me, it's that guard spot. You got a guy in Pat Bev who's defensive. You got a guy in Reggie Jackson who's looking to score, just like him and Lou Will are both looking to score. You got no guy that's going to put Paul George in a situation where he just has to go do what he has to do. Guy that's going to put Kawhi Leonard in a better situation. A guy that's going to get open looks for Serge Ibaka and Nicholas Batum.
Right.
Like, I think Reggie Jackson to me is everything I thought he would be. A guy that's going to look to score. A guy that shouldn't.
He's always been that guy.
I don't know what they thought they were getting. He wasn't going to be a player. Him and Lou Will, I thought that was a great combination to bring him off the bench. I thought going into this year, Pat Bev was gone. Like, him and Lou Will off the bench, I don't think is a problem. Like, for me, go all in for Ball. Go all in for Kyle Lowry. Because I said this before. Now, I'm going to save it for Monday on my. No, I said it before. If the Clippers aren't successful and the Sixers aren't successful, Kawhi is coming here to play with Doc. I said it.
And then who's going there, Ben?
Tobias gone. Tobias out of here.
We ain't trading Tobias. They ain't
Tobias out of here.
Listen, if Tobias and Kawhi Leonard swap, whoever made that swap trigger, that's to go deep.
Kawhi got that player option. Kawhi got that player. Listen, they're itching to get.
It could be a sign and trade.
I love Tobias Harris and what he's doing this year. I love what you're doing.
No, I know it's not a knock on Tobias.
Levels to it.
It's not a knock on Tobias.
It's not at all.
To me, that means Kawhi fell down so many more notches.
No, we're going to add stuff. It's not going to be a simple. They're going to get Maxey. They're going to get some picks. Oh yeah, we're going to give them Maxey. Go ahead, Maxey. I love you, but bye. We're going to get you want Isaiah Joe? Go ahead, take him. You want Mike Scott, even though he trash? Go ahead, take him. That's just the odd thing. I don't think it's going to be a one-on-one at all. We definitely going to add, some more things, but let's move on. I'm going to go on a short rant about last night's game between the Bucks and the 76ers, which to me was the most beautiful, disgusting game to watch.
Yes.
I don't know what everybody else thinks, but I love these low-scoring games where it's guys can't hit a shot, defense is playing old school. I love it when teams are shooting under 45%, barely 40%. I love it. But here's my issue. I see a lot of Sixers fans, and I've been arguing with them Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. They're saying, oh, we didn't have Embiid, our fifth, sixth game in 7 nights coming off a back-to-back, we lost. I'm not going to trip about it. But here's my thing. I watch this team every single game, every single year since I've been alive. And, especially this season and even going on last year, we go on at least 4-minute spurts without scoring a field goal. And I think that's an issue because on that 4-minute spurt, how many points are you giving up? We were up 19 in the second half. You should not lose this game. You're up 19 in the second half. You're going on a 4-minute spurt. They're going on 13-0 run. I don't care if Embiid's not playing. I can't accept the fact that every single game, at least so far this year, you're going 3 to 4 minutes without scoring. So Embiid, I think that's a problem that needs to be addressed. Also, Mike Scott, 0 for 5. When am I going to get an upgrade for him? I thought I was getting PJ Tucker. Can I get Larry Nance? This dude was 0 for 5 on good looks. I just don't understand why he's still employed by the Philadelphia 76ers. I love you, Mike Scott, but this year you've been a complete waste of time. And then Dwight Howard. I'm glad that you hit 2 mid-ranges, but now you're getting jump shot happy. Like you were 6 for 11.
That's how you feel, son.
7 of those shots was jumpers. Now you gave us 13 and 15. You dominated, but stop shooting jumpers so much. Who I want to talk about next? Tobias. I need you to score buckets when it's time to score buckets, but you get a little pass. Seth Curry, you played awful. Ever since you came back from COVID, you've been up and down. This game, you were 2 for 8. Your last name is Curry. You can shoot arguably better than your brother. I need you to hit those shots. And then Ben Simmons. Now, everybody talk about Giannis' stat line. Giannis was trash the first half. Most of his buckets that second half came. If you watch all the highlights that they post,
layups and dunks.
Ben Simmons was nowhere near it. It's on Tobias Harris off switches getting baby. It's on Dwight Howard not being able to stay in front of him. Ben Simmons did his job. Giannis was 2 for 8, 4 turnovers, against Ben Simmons. But here's my thing with Ben. I understand you weren't knocking down your shot. You were able to get others involved. But if Dwight Howard is shooting 7 jump shots a game, I was sad when the game was over. But the fact that Ben Simmons at the end of the game took a three-pointer and made it, he shot it with so much confidence. Like, imagine if there was 5 seconds left on the game and he hit that three-pointer, how things would have been different. Ben Simmons, if you're going to shoot a three, like, if you're not going to shoot at all, don't shoot those end-of-the-game threes and make it. You did it against the Cavs. You did it again last night against the Bucks. If Dwight Howard is shooting at least 6 to 7 jumpers a game, you have no excuse. I'm not saying you're trash because you're not shooting. He doesn't have to shoot, in my opinion. I'm fine with it because he can be dominant without shooting on the defensive end, playmaking, offense, getting triple doubles. But if Dwight Howard's going to shoot, like, just imagine somebody told you 6 years ago Dwight Howard shooting in the game and making 2 mid-ranges and shooting post fadeaways. That's not something we're supposed to be able to accept. So if Dwight Howard's IDGF, I don't give a blank meter, if you don't care no more. If Rondo came out and said, man, I don't give a no more, I'm going to let it fly. Because remember that was the thing on Rondo. He's not shooting. Now he's letting it fly. Ben Simmons, bro, your jumper, your form is too nice for you not to let it fly. If you're going to shoot these threes at the end of the game, shoot them during the game. I don't even care about the threes. Shoot the mid-ranges. Like, if Dwight Howard is shooting 6 jumpers a game, you have no excuse. I'm done there. There's so much more I want to say, but I ain't going to rant this whole time. Jay, how was your thoughts on that game last night?
I'm glad you gave me reminded me what the question was. I've been laughing so much.
Me too.
Sometimes you gotta get things off your chest.
Tell them how you feel.
First of all, about the Dwight Howard taking 7, you is so right about that. Anytime Dwight Howard is out of 5-foot range, taking 4 jump shots,
2 of them, and then both was in the clutch.
And it looked good.
It looked good. He has been practicing his jump
form. Look
Dwight Howard
good.
has nice form. All of a sudden, his form is nice.
He make one brick 2, and then Doc start yelling at him. And he hit him in the clutch. Like, Ben Simmons, what you doing, bro?
Oh man, but I'm really laughing. No, but you gotta. This is what we were talking about last week. We were talking about Ben and his defense. Yeah, he got great defense, but he got to still be able to score. And this isn't about Ben in this game. It's about the team themselves. You guys' team plays wonderful defense, and that type of back and forth game like that, it reminds me of that old like Miami, New York series back in like 96,
real quick.
97.
If Embiid was playing, it would have been wraps. I'm not scared of the Bucks gonna play.
I can't agree with that. I think there would have been a totally different game if Embiid was playing. The style of play would have been different, the whole 9 yards. But again, I'm gonna go back and tell you, man, like I like Ben Simmons.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid should be playing together.
Ooh.
I think that if you gave Joel Embiid somebody that was a knockdown outside shooter and still had the defense capabilities, which I'm not about to sit here and say there's a whole bunch of people that can do both of those.
There's maybe one.
One?
Which one do you think? The point guard position
at a playmaker
to run the offense.
But let's be honest. You don't have to get a point guard. Ben Simmons can play. Ben Simmons is more of like a point forward-ish. He could do a few different things.
He's the only
somebody to get and beat the ball though.
Yeah, he the only he's the only guy that can run this team. Everybody else on a fast break, they got tunnel vision.
Agreed.
They're only looking to score.
The team would look different. You would have to go get a traditional point guard, and then whomever you traded them for. So you could do like a Jimmy Butler. You could do like that's what I'm saying. It doesn't have to be a point guard. You can go get another point guard. Like if you could pick up a Kyle Lowry and then trade him for whomever. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I think if you had that second, Devin Booker, Donnie Mitchell, CJ McCollum.
I'm not a fan of Donovan Mitchell, but yeah,
but it's not about it's about that knockdown shooter where if Joel does get covered or doubled or the ball gets swung, you got that guy. And I think that these games like the one we just seen are reminders that they don't have that super scoring machine over there. And I really think they need one.
If you'd have told me this before the season started, because after last year I was thinking maybe these guys can't play with each other. But this year, like Doc has been playing, like Doc is playing them more together than the bum coach. Now, I love him because terrible team, but it was time for him to go because he didn't know how to get the best out of his players. I'll say this about Doc, and I'm with you that Ben offensive game. Now he's posting up more. He's being more offensive minded. But I see what you mean by the shooters. But that's what Curry's supposed to be there for. But he went 2 for 8. But I feel you though. I feel you. Ben offensive game has to keep improving, but Doc is playing these guys more, and as a duo, they're doing more things as a duo so far this year that I've ever seen them do, and it's working. So I feel you that Ben has to be, more consistent on offense because against the Jazz, that 42 wasn't a fake 42. He can really do things like that. He went on a run up until I think the All-Star break where he's dropping 20, 25 and he can do that, but he has to be consistent. So I feel like going into the year, I was thinking there's no way we keep both of them. Like after the playoffs, I'm like one of them's probably going to go.
Imagine being with somebody like Chris Paul or somebody like John Morant or somebody that's taking the ball.
I'd rather see him with Ball. I'd rather see him with Lonzo.
I don't want. Well,
but that's the same thing, though. Because he's shooting it better, but still, that's kind of the same.
It definitely is kind of the same thing. But like when I look at the Sixers, and I'm gonna be real quick about it, it's like Seth. It is really the same thing. But
he was on to that. That would be exactly the same.
But I would like that.
Gonna shoot the ball?
No, but he's shooting it better though. Yeah, give Lonzo credit. He's shooting it better.
Fly this year. When I look at Danny Green, he's on a back end of his career. Like he went 6 for 14 for 3. That's fine. But once he puts the ball on the ground,
he's always been streaky.
He should have a 3 dribble limit. If you watch him play, he drove to his left. Mind you, right-handed. He drove to his left against Giannis and tried to put up a left-hand layup against Giannis and almost went over the back.
First of all, you gotta lay the ball up on Giannis. Period.
Yeah, like if you change Danny Green for Lonzo, a guy that 1 he can shoot, but 2 he can put the ball on the ground and be a playmaker. It can be a shot creator. That's where I think things start to get different. But I'm with you though, Jay. I feel you.
But to me, though, it's more. To me, this game is more on the Bucks. Like they made that way too harder than it should have been. There's no way that this game should have been that tough for them to win. So to me, and mad decisions down the stretch. I don't know what they was. It was DiVincenzo that gambled on that wide open 3. That was a mental man. That was a brain fart. Like there was no reason that he should have got that wide open 3. You don't gamble there. So they just made the game a whole lot harder. Embiid's out. Harris was struggling. He shot like 8 for 22 or something like that, and they still had to go to overtime to win that game. So to me, that's more than I think it's more of an issue on the Bucks side than it is with the Sixers.
See, you right about that. I just had to give it through my eyes as watching it from the Sixers.
I understand where you're coming from.
Y'all go every game not scoring the ball for 4 minutes. Do you think that's going to be okay in the playoffs going against the Nets? Because imagine a team not scoring against the Nets and they have 4 minutes to go off. And this is like they'd be like, yo, you're tripping. It's only one game. Y'all do this every single game. I remember watching against the Raptors, and real quick, then I'm done with this thing. It's time. I just had to get this off my chest because next week I feel like Jay's going to get some things off his chest, and Kenny I know is going to be time to address those Knicks haters after what Julius Randle just put up. But they went over 7 minutes without a field goal. Imagine that happening against the Nets. Score is going to be 160 to 100.
Yeah, definitely. And the game slows down in the playoffs, so you can't have those empty stretches of not getting buckets. So I get your point, though. So let's move to James Harden. Should James Harden be the number 1 MVP candidate? Jay? Well, actually, go ahead, Chris, and then we'll go to Jay.
All right. For me, because Embiid is out for 2 to 3 weeks, I think it should be a no-brainer that James Harden is number 1 in the MVP. I don't think it should be close. I think it should be 1. Now that Embiid's gone, you got to put James Harden number 1. 2, for me, I'd probably say Dame. Like what James Harden is doing right now, he's carrying his team. Literally, it's like, okay, I feel like Kevin Durant could probably come back in a week. But because James Harden is able to elevate this team and carry this team while these 2 guys aren't here, I think that we talk about most valuable, the value he's bringing to this team. I don't think they'd be winning this games if they still had, Dinwiddie and LeVert. I think they probably, even with how talented those two guys are, you could say they might lose some of the games that James Harden basically carried this team to victories. What he's doing by himself, how he's able to give you 15 assists and give you 40 points. There's not a lot of guys that can do that in this NBA. So I think it shouldn't be no doubt in people. I don't care what happened with him in Houston. He was trying to get out of a situation. Okay, imagine if you was working in a place that's not treating you right, that you're not being able to succeed, you're not happy anymore. You're going to try to get out that situation. The only way he could go is for him to be ugly with it. And my thought process was, as long as you play with the Nets, all will be forgiven in my eyes. Because I didn't like how he went about it, but I understood the means and the goals to do it. If you played and performed how he's doing right now, all will be forgiven. He's damn near averaging a triple-double, leading the league in assists. This dude, it shouldn't be close. As long as because Embiid's out, Harden should be number one. Only because Embiid's out. If Embiid was still playing, Embiid for me is still the number one.
Well, even if Embiid was there, James Harden should be number one.
And I'm not mad at nobody saying that.
By far, man. How much criticism before he got to Brooklyn? There was what? How many memes did we see? Oh,
every
how
day.
Are they gonna do it? They're just gonna dribble. They ain't gonna be able to work together.
Which was so
dumb. Oh my
dumb.
God, Kyrie Irving don't know how to pass the ball.
It was
oh my God, James Harden don't know. What are they gonna do? First of all, James Harden is one of my favorite basketball players to play to step foot on this basketball court since he's got it. He was nasty in Arizona State. He and then I was so hurt to see him get broken up from the Russ and the Kevin Durant.
Oh man,
Russ is one of my favorite players. Russ is one of my favorite players playing, man. He has the biggest heart to me out of pretty much almost anybody in the NBA. Mm-hmm. So, but to see James Harden go over there and after all that criticism and do what he's done, and let's not forget that Kyrie wasn't there for a couple of weeks in the beginning. Then Kevin Durant's out, and nothing's changed here. This man is spectacular. He can do it with anyone, which is I don't think people take into account. You're working with two other superstars. You're working with two other superstars, man. And he's still doing this type of production. And the superstars he's working with are not upset in any sort of way. Everything's gelled up and going well. This man is orchestrating a wonderful, display of basketball in front of us. Like, this is amazing to watch day in and day out. And he's by far the MVP right now. The only other person. Go ahead.
Oh no, I was just gonna say that what you guys I definitely agree with you guys, but we got to give Dame Lillard some. We got to give Dame Lillard some love.
Dame is right there.
Yeah, you got to give him some love because he's carried that team. CJ's been out for a couple of months.
And Nurkic, yeah.
Nurkic out. You know what I'm saying? And he has literally it going all the way back to last season. In the bubble, the way he went off in the bubble and carried them and dragged them into the playoffs on his back, and he just carried this over. And then what he did the other night, that 50 and 10, man, that's different. That's different. And Harden must have saw that and was like, look, here's 40, here's a triple double with 40 right behind that. So those two, to me, You could make a case for either one of them, but like you said, Harden going to a new team and coming in and being a guy. And just one thing about Harden, man, he's just a special passer.
He's a hooper.
Yeah, just the way he sees the floor, man. He makes some special passes watching this guy. His court vision, him and LeBron James have some of the best court vision that you'll ever see in today's game. So, I get your point, but I just got to show Dame some love.
Oh, no, for sure. That's that Dame right there for me.
No, I definitely would show Dame some love, but I think James Harden has this one in the bag. I mean, and by far, I will say that Dame, Spider, and Booker have since the bubble have been the probably the best players in basketball since the bubble last year. From that to now, those three have probably been some of the best players in basketball. And
Murray was up there too, but it didn't carry over from the bubble. Jamal Murray.
Jamal didn't carry over. But I like Spike.
Jokic is carrying over. But if you're speaking on guards, I was saying Nikola Jokic game from the bubble to now has carried over.
I don't think so. Nikola changed a little bit because remember he was a lot skinnier when he was in the bubble, and he wasn't being able to take the same type of down low again. So I think he gained a little bit more weight, and he's got back in there. He's playing better than he even was in the bubble. I think he's improved since the bubble, if you ask me. But I really think it. But yeah, in a way, you're right, Krista, because he hasn't fell off on that MVP type status level of playing.
He got them James Harden stats.
Yeah, but the Spider, Devin Booker, and Damian Lillard, something about that bubble triggered something in them, and they have not stopped since.
I got a question for y'all real quick. This wasn't even on the topic, so I'll just think about this. For me, I think James Harden and Kevin Durant are going to end up taking votes away from each other when KD comes back. I feel like, and on the Sun side, some people are screaming Booker, some people are screaming CP3.
Yeah.
I think they're going to take votes away from each other. The thing, gets down the line. The players that I feel like nobody's taking votes away from LeBron, even though nobody's saying his name, he should always be in there. Nobody's taking
Absolutely.
from Joel Embiid. Nobody's taking away votes from Giannis, Dame, Steph. So I feel like what's going to hurt James Harden at the end, what's going to hurt CP3, Booker at the end, because you got to remember, even when James Harden first came to that team, it was KD up until the injury. It was KD. The injury happened, and now we're seeing James Harden. What's going to happen if KD comes back and starts putting up 30 balls? So I feel like that's why I love the MVP vote. It's going to change. And at the end, probably the person we're saying right now is probably not even going to end up winning it.
You're right.
But that's why you got to love it.
The one thing, too, about the Kevin Durant and James Harden thing, I think Kevin Durant's just more appealing to people of the masses. I think there's something about James Harden. No, there's just something about James Harden, man. It don't matter how good that dude does and what he does. There's just something that people just have on him. They just
people
I don't know.
KD going to the Warriors. KD going to the Warriors rubbed a lot of people the wrong way.
It did, but once he won,
I'll be honest.
Said, oh well.
Not for me. For me, it rubbed me the wrong way 1,000 times.
And the way he left too. The way he left to go to Brooklyn too.
But the masses, Chris. The masses.
To the masses, they don't care that they don't care. So I think if James Harden wins a ring, it's going to be the same thing for most of the masses, the Twitter trolls,
Yep.
But for me, like. I'm not. That's a whole topic for a whole nother day. I'm not even going to dive into that one.
Hey, well, let's just jump into this one. Mm-hmm. Should the Warriors make a push for the playoffs, or should they rest Steph? Kenny,
that's a good one.
I'm gonna run your.
Yeah, I think they should make a push. We talked about it before. They're a dangerous. If they're a 7 or 8 seed, they're a live underdog. You know what I'm saying? And it could be the whole We Believe 2.0.
Yeah.
That's right. It could be the We Believe 2.0 where they come in and knock off. They get that AC. They go up against the Jazz.
They knock them off. I
said that.
I put money.
That's what I'm saying. So that's what I mean. So yeah, you'll make that push because you gotta give them an opportunity. You gotta give those guys, Draymond and Steph, an opportunity to play on the big stage. Like you can't tank with those two guys. Mm-hmm. Like Draymond would literally tear the whole locker room up. you can't do that. So yeah, I think they got to make a push and take their chances and see what happens. Then roll Clay in there next year and that first round pick and see what to do.
Chris,
for me, I don't want to say tank. But I say if they start to fall, like right now, they're the 9th spot, 2 games out of number 7. I don't think they're going to go higher than 7. I don't think they're going to be able to hit 6. I don't think they're anything higher than that. I think the top 6 are going to be locked. I think they fall to that 9, 10, and like 10 or under. Then I'll say don't play Steph Curry 38 to 42 minutes. That's when I'll start to play the young guys more. But if you have a chance to get in the playoffs, I say still playing, but don't burn them out. Because next year, I feel like that's when we're going to see the true Warriors. Klay Thompson's coming back. You're going to have your pick, and if they get the Timberwolves pick, it's a wrap. Because the moves they're going to be able to make is going to be legendary. Kelly Oubre, it's 7 more days to the deadline. I'm hearing things that he might be, moved on. James Wiseman can't catch a break this year, but I feel like next year he's really going to pop off. That's where we're going to see the real Warriors championship run. So for me, it's like I'm not saying tank. I'm not saying bench him. I'm just saying don't burn him out. Don't burn out Steph. That's how I feel about it.
As if I'm speaking of from the mind of a Warrior fan,
Yeah.
I would sit Curry.
Oh, Warriors want to sit him
Curry.
bad.
Oh, I would
sit
sit
him
Curry.
bad.
But in the mind of an NBA, fan itself, I agree with you, Kenny. If we see a 8-1 matchup and it's the Jazz and Golden State, I think Steph Curry shoots them out the gym. You know what I mean? So I think you really make a run at it. But the one thing we got to remember, we're talking about Golden State. We're talking about a team that's now accustomed to winning championships and being in the big dance and having that limelight. And so, getting to the second round and having a second round matchup doesn't do much for that team. Doesn't do much for that organization. Doesn't do much for Steph Curry and none of them. So
I gotta disagree. Only for the James Wiseman, the playoff experience.
Get that experience, yeah.
And that's real. And that's
going to help them. But for Steph and Draymond, no, you're right. That don't do nothing for them. They won championships. But for the young guys, for the A. Wiggins, the Uber, I think that experience will help.
It's been a long season already for Steph. You can already see it in him.
Oh yeah,
He's getting frustrated.
He about to be burnt out.
And Wiseman's been injured. Draymond's having a rough year. Draymond's having a rough year here. He's going back to old school Draymond. I think you calm this season down before something crazy happens. Draymond gets suspended for the first month of next season or something. You know what I mean? It's one of those seasons that, something weird can pop up. So I sit him. I sit back. I've been seeing these little Clay is almost here and him in that little incubator, like, you know what I mean, with Steph watching them grow. Like, I've been seeing it. I'm buying into the marketing scheme of it. When when Clay comes back, having that 5 down there, that 4 with Dre, all you really need is a 3. And if Oubre ain't it, trade him.
They can put Wiggins at the 3.
I'm keeping Wiggins over Oubre 1,000 times over 1,000.
I agree. But if you're not keeping Oubre, trade him now. Right now. Either that or Wiggins. One of them got to go right now, though.
I really think they're waiting to see what's going on with that Timberwolves pick because that's top 3 protected. So if it's in the top 3, they don't have it. But imagine the Warriors get the number 4 pick.
That's still gonna be
number
top
5,
10.
number 6. That's still a top 10 pick. And if you talk about this year's draft, there's some good young guys. But also, let's say they don't want to go young. They want to make moves to add a lot of quality depth guys.
Exactly.
Because right now when I look at their bench, it's Pascal, Looney, Young, question mark, Young, question mark, Young, question mark.
You know who would like that pick? Detroit. You know who Detroit sent back? Grant.
Ooh.
Wow. Yeah. But he's definitely snapping the shit.
Over there with Clay.
I think they would because Grant not no superstar anyway. He put up good numbers, but he can help a team. We saw him do that with the Thunder.
With Denver. Yeah, man. Denver's missing Jerry Grant right now.
So yeah,
I like that. For Golden State.
I like that. I like that. I like that a lot.
All right, so we're gonna get out of here with this one. Chris set us up with the tough rank 'em. He set us up with the tough rank 'em. We gotta rank 'em. Steph Curry, Kyrie Irving, and Dame Lillard. Rank 'em. Now here's the caveat though. We're talking career. We're not talking this season. We're talking career. Rank them: Steph, Dame, and Kai. I'm gonna go to Jay because he got his head in his hands right now. So it's a hard one. So I'm gonna go right to Jay.
Listen, these rankums, I'm bringing all the hard ones. That's like it's interchangeable, and I still don't know what I really want to do.
Yeah, I'm like. Man,
my number 1 for me is Lock. I don't know what I'm going to do at 2 or 3. Number
That's
one.
kind of where I'm at. I just want to turn the camera off for a minute just in case I change my mind about tomorrow or something, because this is one of them type of rankings. Like, Steph has to be number one. Hands down. Has to be number one. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. Can't change it. This is where it gets rocky. But I'm going to say Kyrie and then Dame. Kyrie's had more pressure situations. Kyrie's had more, I did do that. Kyrie had more game time winners. Kyrie has a championship. Kyrie has played with one of the best players in the NBA of all time. Kyrie has, gone to different teams and still continue to do the same things that Kyrie has done. So as an individual, Kyrie has proved his individualism. Dame is probably one of the greatest Portland guards ever to play.
No question.
But he hasn't been to the dance. Period. And he's playing in the league with these two people who have frequented the dance. So that's why he's number 3.
What you got, Chris?
Now, not only we're doing career, but this is also personal preference. So, for me, my number 1 is Dame.
Career
and personal preference. Career and personal preference.
Wow.
Personal preference. It's Dame all the way, and I've been screaming at Dame since 2012. Nobody wanted to be listening. Like, you think Dame want to be doing what Steph is doing right now, Golden State, on steroids when he had KD and Klay Thompson? He'd be averaging 30 even when KD was there. Everybody wants to talk about this deep ball Steph Curry shot. It's really Dame's shot. Like that step back he did against That step back he did against Paul George solidified he's the best deep. When
was ill.
They had an all-star game and they was shooting it. He shot it from beyond half court. Steph Curry was a couple feet in. He ended the game. I'm not saying it's like it's here.
Steph started it.
I'm saying Steph started.
Steph started this long range.
Let's take it back. It started with my guy Gilbert Arenas. He started it.
Well,
Steph Hibachi started it. Steph took it to another level, and Dame is taking it to another level because Dame does it more regularly than Steph. Dame really puts it in his repertoire. He doesn't just do it Steph does it. Dame does it every single game. He's pulling up from deep. That's in his bag.
But Dame has to. Dame gets guarded at half court. Dame gets double teamed. Dame gets 3 people to go to his side
and he's still putting up these buku numbers.
No, and I get that. But
and in a system that isn't around him,
even if you wanted to,
why can't
Steph is too good of a shooter. Dame is a great shooter.
Listen, you got to pick up Steph at half court too.
They picking up Steph at half court.
But Steph is such a good shooter. Even if you do give him that little space at half court, he don't need to take the first space you give him. Steph is gonna still go in and try to get the most efficient shot out of his play. I think Dame
is a bucket. Dame been dunking on people.
Dame, not taking anything from him, because Dame doesn't have as many weapons as Steph. So Dame takes any light, any possibility Dame is shooting. He's trying to conserve energy, man.
Listen, my number one is Dame. My number one is Dame, and I'll be honest. When I put this out, it wasn't close. My number one.
Wow.
I've been saying Dame for years. If you'd had Dame on those Warriors team, he's doing all the love Steph is getting. Dame is getting the same type of love. He was in a system that is not even built towards him, and he's still doing what he's had to do. He's in a system like Steph Curry had a system that would kind of cater all his strengths. Dame's system isn't really catering all his strength. When we talk about Terry Stotts, we're not talking about him as an offensive guru. Imagine if he'd had, Mike D'Antoni that builds his offenses around his guards. How even more crazier Dame's stats would be. But yet Dame is doing this in a system that doesn't cater to him and still put up these buku numbers. And the reason why he ain't hit them finals is because he went against the unstoppable Golden State Warriors team. Now, my number 2 gets tricky because this is personal preference and career. And people are going to hate me for this. But if you're asking me to pick for my team, which players do I want? It sucks that we can't keep it.
It's a long setup.
It's because y'all, they're gonna look at me crazy. But if you're asking me who I want Kyrie. If you ask me who I want,
wow,
I want Kyrie. Kyrie
so Steph is third. Wow,
Steph is third. And mind you, it's like 1, 2.
Nah, I don't care how close. You said Steph is third.
But this is my personal preference. I feel like Kyrie is more unguardable than Steph. I feel like Kyrie is one of the most bucket getters ever to play in this league. He's scoring on you if you're 7 foot. He's scoring over you if you're Kawhi Leonard. He's scoring over if you're Kevin Durant. He's posting up big men like he's a big man. At all 3 levels on the court, Kyrie Irving is going to give you that bucket. Like you said, he did it on the biggest stage. He was consistent on that big stage. Kyrie Irving is a bucket, and because he's so much of a bucket, he can be a willing playmaker. I feel like Kyrie doesn't get the credit he deserves because when he played with LeBron, they always talk about LeBron. You're not talking about Kyrie. Right now, he's averaging like 27 on great efficiency, but nobody's talking about how he has tunnel vision scoring so effortlessly. Now, my number 3 is Steph, but it's no diss towards Steph. I told people the Warriors were coming where they were playing the Clippers when they still had Mark Jackson. Nobody wanted to believe me. But if you're asking me who I'm picking, my Dame for me was number 1. It wasn't close. Kyrie is my number 2, and Steph is number 3. That's just how I feel.
Yeah, get ready for the hate mail.
That's just
Get ready for the hate mail, Chris.
I've been getting it for years when I've been saying I've been getting it for years.
Wow. I got the same. Actually got the same list as Jay. I got Steph number 1, MVP, multiple time champion. You gotta put him number 1, and then Kyrie is number 2. You know, like you said, made the biggest shot in the finals to win the championship for them. It's just been, you know, playing at a high level for many years. You know, Olympic champion and a whole bit, and then you know. As big as Dame has been, and he's carried his team, and like you said, he's had less to work with, so that's probably why he hasn't had the playoff success. Well, that is why he hasn't had the playoff success as the other 2 guys. But just his clutch factor and the way he sent the OKC home a couple of years ago, and then sent Houston home.
Legend.
Yeah, so like you really. This is tough because this 3 guys their resumes is like they put themselves in the highest echelon in terms of the point guard position. But yeah, I'm with Jay. I got Steph 1 and Kyrie 2, and then Dame 3.
Now let me ask y'all this: if you put Kyrie and Dame with the Warriors, do you think they're not going to have the same type of success Steph did?
Not Kyrie. Dame, yes.
Why not Kyrie?
I don't think Kyrie. I think Kyrie and Dame and Steph play very similar. I think Kyrie, his style would be just kind of different. I wouldn't say they would be unsuccessful, but I don't think they'd have the same type.
Yeah, I don't know. I think
the reason why
IQ. No, I was just gonna say Kyrie figures out a way to play with whoever he's playing with.
Agreed.
You know?
Agreed.
So I just think he would adjust. He adjusted with Harden. He's adjusted with KD. He's adjusted with LeBron. I think he would have just adjusted to find the best way. Because like you said, he's gonna score regardless. It don't matter how where he gets the ball, how he gets the ball. Like he's gonna score. And then like Chris said, he's an underrated passer because he's averaging I think almost 7 assists this year. So I'll be surprised. I think they would just figure it out.
In Madden, they got that spectacular catch icon. Okay. Well, I think Steph and Dame got like the spectacular shot icon.
Oh yeah, because they do shoot it from deep.
Yeah, and I don't
Kyrie don't shoot it from deep like they do.
He don't shoot it from deep, but I mean, he sent Steph home in the finals, so that clutch shot is there.
No, it's there. That's why I said it's not going to be unsuccessful. I think the success would be different. Maybe they only win one, and they don't, back to back, and they don't do those, or maybe it's not in the same concession. Maybe it's one, they lose one. Maybe it's more of a San Antonio type of spread. But I just don't see them doing it the exact same way. I think you can interchange Dame and Steph and not get so much of a change in styles of the team, so to speak, of the way it's played.
Yeah, people gonna hate me, Dame, Kyrie, Steph. They're gonna hate me. But I've been saying this for a while, how much I'm a fan of Dame. And I think he's number one. And for Kyrie, he's a walking bucket that can play in any system. Steph is the same way. Steph is
nasty with it, man.
But Kyrie just as nasty with it.
True. I mean, those three are some of the most interchangeable.
It's so interchangeable. I thought everybody
they could all play on and off the ball.
That's why
it's premier shooters,
it's gonna be tough.
Premier finishers.
It's gonna be tough.
And it's very rare you get all three of those as a point guard: premier shooter, premier finisher, and can distribute.
True 3-level scorers.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
At the guard position, that all can pass if necessary.
Yeah.
And I'll tell y'all this as we wrap it up: Mondays, rank them is going to be even tougher. Y'all might even ask me to skip it. It's going to be so tough. Matter of fact, I'll ask y'all this: what position do y'all want to do? What position do y'all want to do?
Are we talking about basketball?
Rank them. Just name a position.
Go small forward.
Ooh. Okay. Listen. On that note, we're gonna wrap up Real Talk, man. It's been a hell of an episode. I had a lot of fun talking sports with y'all.
Absolutely.
We talked about some real things. I know y'all gonna hate me when it comes to this, Dame, Kyrie stuff, but I don't care. I don't. So hate on me all you want. That's just how it is. But remember, send us y'all fan video questions, and we're going to play them live on air between the NFL, between the NBA, or at the beginning, or maybe at the end. All throughout, we're going to play these fan questions. But thank you, everybody, for the support. Kenny, Jay, man, y'all can sign off how I want to. I had a great night tonight.
I really did too, man. And next week, tune in as we're gonna be getting on these sports. Sports. March Madness, man. Pay attention. I've already seen a couple of dudes that I'm like, what are you gonna do this tourney? So March Madness all week, and we'll catch up some more over the weekend as NFL free agency too.
Yes.
Yeah, man. Always a great time talking hoops and talking football with you guys. Like you said, this is the best time of the year, man. In terms of sports, man. For me, this is just you got March Madness, you got NBA going down the stretch, you got NFL free agency. So it's a great time to be a sports fan. So look forward to doing it again next week.
Definitely a great time to be a sports fan and a great time to be tuning in to Real Talk. So on that note, we're going to see you guys 9:30 Eastern on Monday. Peace.
All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays. 365, we making a plays. You talking the game, get you through the days. We're high in the court, the diamond in the lane. Variety, topics, living the same. All presentation, sports information. Hitting the airways, taking the nation. All sport, all plays.